Hi, everyone, and this is another lesson for the TOEFL prep. So we'll get started in about a minute here. I'm just going to check to see if there's any comments on the page. So if you're not yet on the page, we can go there. And this is lesson number 4. In the last few weeks, last few Wednesdays at the same time. If you're not testing my on the page. Yep. Okay. Go there. Okay. Yeah, I can see that you can check there. So just waiting to see if there's a couple people viewing so far, getting the alerts and messages that we're live now. And so welcome. Just let me know where you are from. In the chat below the video, you can see there's you can comment either with Facebook or with VK. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Jonathan. I'm an English teacher and mainly working on the TOEFL preparations. So if you've seen some of the other videos, some of the other live lessons, please let me know in a comment. That helps me know like who's joining these and who is participating. So in the previous ones, we've talked a little bit the introduction about the TOEFL. We've looked at the speaking questions. We looked at like the type 1 on a general topic. We've looked at the personal, like a preference of do you prefer this or this. And today we're going to be looking at the campus-related discussions where there's an announcement. Usually the university is going to do something or something in a class, and then 2 students discuss this, and then they give their opinion on that, and then it's your job to summarize what that decision is, what the opinion is, and just to explain that. So we've got a couple people watching so far. Feel free to leave some comments down below to let me know where you're from. Say hi in the chat. I think you should be able to hear me. I just was checking the audio, and I think you can see the video is live there. So, okay. And if any of you are taking the test soon or planning to take the test soon, please let me know. So I can kind of also answer your questions throughout this video, this live lesson here today. And I'd like to see if I can get some of you to participate with your answers. So we're going to look at a way that you can record your answer. So if you've seen in a few of the previous lessons, we're using a tool called SpeakPipe, and that allows you to record yourself with like a webcam or microphone, and then you get a link to that audio file, and you can put that link in the chat, the messages, the comments below. I can listen to that audio file, and I can play that in this live lesson and give you the feedback. So that's something I have not seen before in other live lessons or webinars. I think most people can only participate with text. It's not very frequent that you have the opportunity to provide your own audio. So I think that's an interesting way to interact with you, that this lesson is not just me talking and giving you advice. It's also an opportunity for you, if you want to, you can give me one of your audio answers. I'll give you a practice question that we can work with, and I hope to see, I hope to hear example audio samples of your recordings, so that we can give you some feedback on that. So, okay. So let me start to share my screen, and I will double check that you can see this in the chat there. but I'd like to see if there's some comments so far below the video. I see. Oh, okay. I see a couple comments from. So I see Peter from Siberia. So that's your first time here. So great to have you here. Nurmakam is asking me if I speak Russian. Можете по-русски говорить? Yeah, да, я говорю по-русски неплохо. Я думаю, but I need to practice more. But yeah, I have это уже 5 лет, что я изучаю русский язык. Yeah, мне нравится изучать русский язык. So if you speak Russian, I hope my Russian pronunciation is not that bad. Okay. If you don't necessarily speak Russian, sorry for those brief moments there of speaking there. Okay. Hi from Elena. So and also from Siberia, and planning to take the TOEFL next year. Okay. So this should be good practice materials for you. And there's Ishaq Sheikh Mohammed. So hi, nice to meet you. I think you're from India. Okay, so great. Great to have you guys here. And I hope we're going to get some more comments. And okay. And from Dennis, planning to take the exam in June. So okay. And I'm glad you guys are enjoying these lessons. So great. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now, and I'll keep an eye on the comments. I'm using 2 screens, so I can have the screen here for the presentation. You won't see me while I'm doing the presentation, but hopefully, if I'm still speaking clearly, let me know if I'm speaking too fast, that you can hear me fine. But okay. And okay, so let me just start sharing this screen. Okay, I'm gonna look over here, make sure if you can leave a comment in the comments below that you can see my screen, that would help me. So I know there's no technical, yeah, everything's great. Thank you, Elena. Okay, yes, great. You can see my screen. I can see my screen on the over there. So yeah, we're here today. We're TOEFL lesson number 4. We're looking at speaking task number 3. So the previous ones, that would be lessons for the speaking task 1 and 2. And if you want to go back and review those, at the top of your screen for the link for this today's lesson, you can just change the number. If like it says 5, and that's today's class number 4. If you go back and switch those numbers, you can see the previous lessons. So if you want to catch up on stuff, please stay here for today's lesson. But if you want to catch up later after this lesson is over, you can go back and check those ones out. So, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jonathan. I have been learning languages and teaching them for the past over 20 years now. I got started with Spanish and French when I was in high school. I then started doing some German, and I taught myself a little bit of Russian, but most recently I've been working on Russian like about the last 5 years. I started tutoring and teaching the languages since I finished high school, and then I was teaching ESL, that's English as a second language, as a foreign language, for people visiting the United States. I also lived in France for about 6 years, from 2002 to 2008, and I taught English there in elementary schools and businesses and freelance with private students. And since 2008, I've been in Mexico City. I've continued to teach at businesses and with independent students and freelance. And since about 2009, I started working with Skype lessons. And that has been very interesting to be able to have students from all around the world. So there have been students from Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan, people around Western Europe and France, Germany, Italy, Spain, England, and also in the Americas with people in Colombia, Peru, Brazil. I've also had several students living right now in the United States and wanting to get extra practice. And definitely there's been a lot of students working on their TOEFL preparations. And fortunately, several have gotten scores over 100. I'm very proud to work with a couple people who have gotten even over 110. So it is possible working with some of these techniques and strategies. So I'm going to be sharing some of this advice with you in today's lesson. Okay, so what is speaking task 3? This is giving an opinion about this campus-related topic. So you will have, it's an integrated task. This means that you have a reading text. It is, you have 45 seconds to read a text. Then you have about 30 seconds to prepare your answer after you listen to a recording. So you have the reading time, then you have a recording, which is about maybe a minute or 2, depending on the content. The people will discuss the reading, the announcement that's related to something on the campus. So that could be the university has decided to change their policy for the parking lot, or it could be the policy for the bus roads, or it could be in a specific class, a university class, maybe the teacher or the faculty decide to do something. And 2 students will discuss this. It will always be like a man and a woman. That way you don't get some confusion about 2 men or 2 women. You'll have a man and a woman. One of them will be expressing their opinion on that announcement, and they will generally either agree with this or disagree with it. So it's a good idea to be taking notes while for both the reading and the listening conversation. You won't see the reading section while you are listening to the conversation. So it's important that you take some good notes for that. You want to get just like the main idea of what is the decision, what is the announcement, and then it's a good idea to, when you're taking notes with the conversation, to have a bit of a template on your piece of paper. They will give you paper in the exam, so you make sure to ask for that paper. And you might want to have a simple kind of, what is the man's opinion, what is the woman's opinion about this announcement, and then start to pay attention to the reasons why they have that opinion. So there's usually 2 reasons why they agree or why they disagree, but this will be in the form of a conversation. So you need to pay attention to some transition words, some keywords. Sorry for the background noise here. And you need to pay attention to their intonation, how their voice is, if they agree, disagree, if they like something. But usually this will be clearly stated. And okay, and then after that conversation is finished, you have 30 seconds to go through your notes from both the reading and the listening, and then you have 60 seconds to record yourself. So here I just put typical questions, but this is the way it will look after you've gone through the reading passage and after you have listened to the conversation. Then it will say, for example, briefly summarize, and then, for example, the proposal in the student's letter. Then state the woman's opinion about the proposal and explain the reasons she gives for holding that opinion. Or another example could be the woman expresses her opinion of the university's new policy. State her opinion and explain the reasons she gives for holding that opinion. So you basically have kind of two or three parts to be aware of here. You need to comment, summarize what that decision or policy or announcement is, then clearly state what the opinion is, whether the person agrees or disagrees, and then really importantly, specify, give those reasons why that person believes that or thinks that or agrees or disagrees. So, so next on here are the speaking rubrics. So this is how you're going to be evaluated, assessed with your answers. So on these speaking answers, the top answers are basically this a score of 4, and if you are using like clear pronunciation, intonation patterns, minimal lapses, your good pacing, getting good grammar, a variety of vocabulary, if you're speaking kind of naturally, automatically, if you're expressing these clear ideas that are connected and coherent, and you're using specific details that are related in this passage. And so to get those scores of a 4, the highest ones, some of the things that you want to make sure to include here are combining the information from both the reading passage and the listening, the conversation. You want to make sure that you clearly state what the man or woman's opinion is. So don't let that disappear in your answer until like the end, because the examiners are going to be like going through kind of a checklist of what does your answer include. So does your answer clearly state the opinion? It's kind of like a yes or no. So they're waiting for you to state that information in your answer. You need to kind of give those reasons, so clearly state why that he or she thinks that. Try to rephrase things in your own words. So it's one thing to just repeat the exact same words that are being used in the text or in the conversation, but it's a good sign of your comprehension level if you can put some of those concepts in your own words and show that you have a wide range of vocabulary. So if you're only using the same words, repeating them, and especially if they're the exact words that are in the reading passage or in the conversation, this might be a sign that your vocabulary is a little weak. I have also seen this myself with recording myself for these kinds of practice answers. You can get nervous and you might end up repeating yourself, but try to limit that as much as you can. Also, you want to try to speak as fluidly and clearly as possible. Make sure that you can have long sections of that you're speaking without sounding nervous or pausing or hesitating. A couple weeks ago, I had a student who just, the answer was almost like stuttering and sounding very nervous, and that made it very difficult to understand what the content was, what their answer was. So you want to control your nerves a little bit. You want to kind of be able to speak in like in a calm way. You want to be checking your kind of that the flow of your answer is good, and you want to keep the pauses and hesitations to a minimum. Also, you want to use transition words that could show a contrast or the reasons, or words that will help you with giving examples that are given there. So you want to make sure to include those in your answers. Also using like citation vocabulary, meaning like you are clearly stating where this information comes from, if it's the reading passage, like, or if it's the man or the woman. You don't want to speak too fast or too slow, and just basically avoid long pauses here. Also pay attention to your pronunciation, your intonation. So intonation is how I use my voice. Sorry for the background noise. It's if you stress some words that are very like the content words, like a subject or a verb, or using those intonation patterns are important to, or if you're giving a list of material, like your voice raises or rises in between things. So if you don't know what I mean by intonation, please kind of let me know. I can clarify that a little bit more and provide more examples as these lessons develop. And also make sure like your answer feels organized. And one way to do that is to kind of use a bit of a template to structure your answer, maybe to use a couple template phrases that work for you. But overall, try to make your answer simple with familiar vocabulary words and grammar, and that it's easy to follow and understand, and the kind of the logic makes sense. And part of that is using good notes. So you also need to practice your note-taking skills, because in the previous two questions, the question 1, question 2 of the speaking section, it really is just you and your imagination for the speaking number 1, and you come up with the answer. For question 2, you just have to choose between 2 options. But for questions 3, 4, 5, 6, you now need to listen to somebody else's content, summarize it, paraphrase it, put it into your own words. And a key thing about that is good note-taking skills. So you need to be able to get to the heart of the reading passage and know what you need to take notes on, and pay attention during the conversation to see whether these people agree or disagree, and why or why not. And so you want to have good notes that will help you stay organized and give you a sense of direction with your answer as you're preparing this. Okay, so what are some things that you could do with this? As I mentioned, a template and some phrases. So this is an example of a template from the book, Cracking the TOEFL. It's a very simple template, but it's basically just state the requested opinion. This is what is the first reason for that opinion, and then give the details to support that. And then give the next reason for the opinion and the next detail. There might be some transition words that you can include in this. And here are some phrases that you could use with this. Okay, the woman believes, the woman's opinion is that, the woman thinks that, the woman agrees, disagrees with the decision to do something. Maybe starting to get into those reasons. Her first reason for claiming this is that, or you could say something, one reason why, or stating something with because. Also kind of the citation vocabulary, like the woman states that, or according to the announcement, or the man says that. So there's a variety of verbs that you could use for like say, state, explain, comment. So you might want to work on your vocabulary and synonyms to find other ways to report what people say. So there's a whole thing you can look on the internet called reported speech. That is the way that you express or rephrase or paraphrase what somebody else says. So a very typical way to see these is in newspaper articles after a press conference where somebody says something publicly. Journalists And people who comment on the news, they have to report what that person said in the news conference. So this is quite often with politics and politicians and people in sports who do press conferences. So anytime there's a press conference and this information is then again in the news, you will often see this kind of reported speech of say, state, comment, express, or claim. So those are verbs and synonyms that you should feel comfortable using with this type of question. And being able to comment on in the reading passage or like according to the passage, to be able to state that information clearly. But you really need to get into a mentality that as soon as you say a reason, you need to back it up with the details that support it. So, okay, so those are some of these template and phrases. Is everything clear so far? Please let me know in a comment if you have any questions. I think this is an easy to follow template of how to structure and organize your answers there. So, okay. Yeah, please let me know in the comments. Everything's fine, everything's clear. Yes, okay, yeah, so thank you, Elena. Yes, so okay. It always helps with these lessons to make sure everybody's still there, still watching, and that you're getting okay, thanks. Yeah, it's clear. Okay, great. So what I would like to do now is to look at one example question. I'll give you an audio file, or I'll play this. I'll also give you a link to it, so in case the audio doesn't, because you can hear there's some background noise where I live. So if you prefer, I will put the link as we get to it, so that you can listen to the audio file directly. And okay, yes, and okay, okay, yes. But how to keep this in mind? Yes, I love that comment there. Yes, I know what we are going through here. If this is the first time you're discovering this information, it can be overwhelming. It's a lot to consider. It's a lot to. It's like if you are playing a sport and you're discovering a sport for the first time. And I'll give the example of like golf, because I'm really terrible at playing golf, and it has been a very stressful experience when I have been invited by a few of my students who were lawyers and accountants here in Mexico City when they invited me to play golf. The whole point is you have to hit this ball and hit it several hundreds of meters away or feet away, and everything comes down to kind of you're planning what you're going to do. You're looking at your feet, you're moving your legs, you're looking at your arms, you're looking at how you're holding the golf club. Just the first time you do that, you have to be very focused on every single tiny detail. So when that happens, you can't just kind of I'll just improvise and hope for the best. Like the first time, you're very painfully aware of your limitations on this is difficult, I don't know how to organize myself, I don't know what I'm doing, and you try to focus on one thing and try to improve that, but then you realize, okay, I need to fix something else and practice that. So it becomes an accumulation of practicing many different aspects, and the key thing is practice. It's the more you do this, the easier it becomes. So with, again, that example of the golf and hitting this ball, that's why there are what we call practice ranges, and you can go big, take a bucket of like 100 golf balls, and all you do in that session is just hit a golf ball or hit 100 of them over and over and over again. So the thing with these practice questions is you want to feel more and more comfortable with these templates and with these phrases so that you don't think about them anymore. They become automatic. So it's not so much the content itself of like in that practice question, it's you need to have these little techniques or these little phrases that you can use and that you don't have to think about them. So for example, if I had a problem with the thing, the woman's opinion is that, if I struggle saying that statement, I need to practice saying it more and more. So it's the woman's opinion is that, or okay, the woman's opinion is that. So trying to get that phrase just, okay, and if that phrase doesn't work for me, don't use it. If it's going to be a problem for your pronunciation or your intonation, use a different one. Okay, the woman believes. Okay, my pronunciation is clear with believes. That's not hard. Or if I have a problem with the TH sound in think, if instead of saying think, I'm saying sink, that could be a problem for pronunciation. So, okay, try to not use the TH. If I have a problem with thinks that, and I am, instead of saying sinks that, maybe I want to not use that phrase because I know it might make it complicated for the examiner to understand me clearly. So these are things you need to discover by practicing these phrases, practicing answering these practice questions, and recording yourself and listening to how you sound. So the more you record yourself, the more you go through practice questions, the easier it becomes. Okay, great. So yeah, another comment here, practice makes perfect. Well, actually, one of my music teachers, I also have a music background, one of my music teachers told me it's not practice itself, it's, well, perfect practice. So, because if you practice something enough times, you're going to create a habit. And if you practice something wrong, well, you kind of create bad habits. So ideally, you want to be practicing things with good habits or good techniques in place so that you don't think about this and it's automatically kind of correct in a way. So it's the way you practice this and the way you kind of establish your routine and how your strategy with that. So okay, and another comment here, how from Oksana, okay, how important is intonation? It's almost impossible to sound naturally as native speakers do. How do we practice it? Okay, yeah, with intonation, one thing that I like to recommend to a lot of students is taking advantage of video recordings and audio transcripts. So one thing you could do is if you have, let's say, a movie or a TV show or a TED Talk, and you have access to both the audio and the text, especially like subtitles, listen several times to the way the speaker presents this information, especially improvised speech. If you can tell that the person is reading from a script and it doesn't sound natural. So you want to make sure that you have audio that sounds like somebody is speaking, just improvising. Like I'm doing right now in this lesson, I don't have a script. I'm just giving you this information. I'm delivering it, but I'm not reading from my notes. I'm not reading from a script here. So you want to have that kind of authentic, natural sounding speech. And if there are some subtitles that go along with it, then you want to kind of work with both of them. Listen several times to the way the person speaks. Pay attention to the loud words. Pay attention to the words that are kind of longer, louder, and the words that are softer and more difficult to understand and that are a little bit faster. Those words are less important, and you want to focus on those loud words. And when we use intonation, we use those loud words to express the content, which could be the subject of a sentence, the verb, the action, the adjectives, the descriptions of about something, and the adverbs of how something is performed or done, or where it's done, or when. So the adverbs of time or place. So those are all important pieces of information. And if you use your voice correctly to express that information, this gets easier for the examiner to hear you. And so you don't have to have perfect pronunciation. You don't have to have like perfect intonation. But many times I have students who sound like either they speak way too quickly and they sound like a robot. And it's like, what would be one example here? Say, the university's decision is to change the route for the buses, and so the woman disagrees with them, and it's just they're kind of like a racehorse trying to get to the finish line, and that kind of an answer is going to be very stressful for the person, for the student doing that, and it's going to also be stressful for the examiner listening to it because they can't hear these kind of loud and soft words. They don't hear these pauses between sentences. So you want to kind of control your nerves if you're speaking too fast and too quickly because you feel like you're not going to be able to deliver as much, like all this information in 45 to 60 seconds. So it's really important in that case to kind of filter the information. I know I'm getting slightly away from this explanation about intonation, but this goes hand in hand, because if you feel like you have to deliver all of the content that was in the reading passage, all of the content that was in the conversation, that's going to be a mistake. You do have to filter and select some of this information. You can't possibly, like, if the conversation itself is like 2 minutes long and the reading passage, you have like 45 seconds to look at it, you have about 3 minutes worth of content. You can't put 3 minutes of content in 1 minute. You have to filter, you have to select, you have to paraphrase, you have to eliminate details that are not as important. So some students who are speaking very quickly and it's difficult to follow them, usually it's because there's some kind of stress or nervousness that like they feel compelled that they have to deliver all of this content. And really it comes down to kind of selecting the key pieces of information, the reasons and the details that are in that, and following this template. So you know, okay, I've stated the opinion. Next, okay, what's the first reason? Okay, clearly state that. Okay, now what's the details that support that reason? And then move on with some transition words. But okay, what's the next reason? Okay, if you follow that very calmly, you can kind of, you might have extra time. But if you just stick to that kind of 5 or 6 lines of a template, you kind of control your nerves a little bit. You feel a bit more organized. Your stress kind of reduces, and your pacing, your pronunciation, and all that kind of resolves itself. So sometimes with the students, if we're looking at pronunciation, intonation, pausing, pacing, some of that is all a manifestation of their nerves and their nervousness. So I could correct pronunciation, could correct grammar, could correct pausing, but sometimes the bigger issue that we have to resolve is the nervousness. It's the motive, kind of confidence that goes with speaking. So oftentimes I see with students that when we focus on the confidence and we focus on sounding like not nervous or sounding more in control of the time and in control of the speaking, a lot of this other stuff corrects itself. So I've mentioned this in the other videos of the other lessons. There's a really great TED Talk by Amy Cuddy about body language. I'll have to find the link here, sorry, but you can Google Amy Cuddy and body language and TED Talk, and that's a great video to watch about controlling like your body language, visualizing that you're going to do a great job on this. Another key thing is smiling. That tends to reduce stress for people if you kind of smile. Another thing that I tell a lot of students is imagine that you're talking to your best friend, like just behind the computer, or somebody you feel comfortable talking to, like a close family member, or like I said, your best friend. So it's not so you're being recorded by a computer and that's it. like try to add a human contact in there, even if you just kind of close your eyes and imagine you're talking to a friend. That does usually help. So let me get, just one second here. I'll get the link. I'll put that here. Yeah, here's the link. I'll put that here. Here's the link to her TED Talk. Oh wait, yeah. Log in here. Yeah, I'll put this also on the other side here. So that's a great talk about the body language, and her name is Amy Cuddy, A-M-Y-C-U-D-D-Y, her last name. So okay. So yeah, that's kind of just wrapping up on the intonation and all that. How many mistakes may students make to have reading or listening 30? Okay. Yeah, the reading questions and listening questions, we will get to those in the kind of upcoming lessons. Right now, we're still focused on the speaking section, which is where a lot of students contact me for feedback. So, okay. So let's continue on here and let you guys kind of have the opportunity to interact with me, not just through the written comments, but I'd like to allow you guys to give me some audio feedback. So what we're going to do for that is, let me get here. Let me see here. It's the okay, yeah, let me move here. So this is, we're going to use the speak pipe, and I'm going to copy this in here so that you can click on this as well. So the link here is SpeakPipe. Put it over here as well. So bear with me. I'm going to zoom in because I can see that that's kind of small on the screen. But this is a great tool. And as you go onto the website there, SpeakPipe, let me see if it's zooming, if that's enough. Let me know if you can see the screen fine enough for that. So the first thing you'll see, it says start recording. And it will connect to your webcam. You might have to authorize it to use your webcam or the microphone. Then it will give you the details, like the time that you're speaking there. So you can have this timer. You can see that you're speaking there for about 45, 60 seconds. And then you'll click the stop button. And then the next thing that will appear, it will say, okay, listen to your recording. And then I would click the skip button. And then the next thing that you see on the screen is it will give you this, you can listen to your recording if you want. So if you don't like it, you could do it over again where it says reset. Or I would click this save on server just to like speed this up a little bit. Then the next thing that appears, you just click save. And then finally, it will process that recording and it will load it. And then it will give you a link to this recording. Make sure that the link, if you copy it, that you get this full link that has about like 15 characters, because the way it will appear on the screen, it will probably cut off about 5 letters. So you might want to double click in this text area to make sure that the whole thing gets copied correctly. And then you can give me that link in the comments below today's lesson video. And then I can click that and play it, and then we can listen to it, all of us, and then I can give you the feedback on that. So hopefully that's clear here. So I'll just go through that one more time. So click on the start recording button, then click stop. Then the next thing is click the skip button if you don't want to listen to your recording. Then finally save on server. then save it, actually, and then get this link to your audio file and send me that comment as send me that link to your audio recording as a comment with today's lesson. And okay, let's take a look at a sample question here, and then we can listen to your answers. Okay, so hopefully this is also Zoom, so you can see this correctly. Hopefully. Okay, so this is an example question. This is part of like a course description here. I'll read this in case it's kind of difficult. And the link that I'm using, where this is coming from, this is, in case you want to see it on your own screen, this is coming from Exam English. I'll post a link as well, if that helps you. So if it's a little bit easier to read that on your screen. Okay, so as you can see on here, okay, it says the geology. I mean, normally if it's on the test, you wouldn't hear somebody reading the text for you. I will just do that to kind of speed things up a little bit in case it's not easy to see on the screen. But it says, okay, the geology department is aware of the problems surrounding group work and its unpopularity among students. We realize that in some cases, students do not contribute and thus gain marks they do not deserve, while stronger students are frustrated at being held back by weaker students. Similarly, it is very difficult for tutors to award marks for group projects, as it is unclear who is responsible for each part. However, the department feels that there is a great deal to be gained from group work in terms of self-organization and communication skills. To this end, we plan to introduce a system whereby the group work itself is not formally assessed, but each student will undertake an individual piece of work based on the group project, which will be designed to ensure participation in the project. Okay, so you've now spent about 45 seconds reading that, and you're trying to take some notes here. So if I were taking notes on this, I would probably write down something like, okay, there's a problem with weaker students and stronger students. It's not clear how to give a grade for a group project because of what they say here about who is responsible. So basically there's problems with group work. So that's our topic here. However, they want to continue doing group work, and they're going to introduce a new system. So those are some of the key things that I'm kind of taking out of this text, but you have to do that in 45 seconds or so. And then when you're finished with that, okay, this text will disappear, and then, okay, sorry, make it bigger. Okay, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. I know some of you are on different devices, iPads and cell phones, so hopefully I mean, this is probably going to cut off, sorry, with that screen. So that's the text. I've also included the link. I've also included the link in the comments here below the video, so you can go directly to that website as well, so you can take a look at it in case. And now the next part here is the audio file, the listening section here, so that you'll now have the conversation. Go back here. So let me play this audio file. Hopefully you can hear this correctly. As I play this, okay.
Thank goodness the department has made changes to the way they assess group work. I had a nightmare last term with our geology project. I couldn't bear going through that again.
Why? What happened?
Well, there were 3 of us in the group. One guy worked really hard, but he didn't trust anyone else to do anything. He just wanted to do it all himself.
It sounds like you were freeloading.
Well, I wasn't. I offered up plenty of ideas, but he kept saying they were no good. In the end, I stopped trying and left it to him. The other guy was a waste of space. He didn't pull his weight at all. We barely saw him.
Did you get a good grade?
A reasonable one, considering how little work I did. But I'm sure I'd have done better if I'd been given the chance to say what I wanted.
Well, the new system should give you that opportunity.
Yeah, I hope so. Though I wish they'd abolish group work altogether. All this organization and communication is just a waste of time. It's got nothing to do with geology.
Okay, So that would be a sample conversation that you could listen to. And then what you'll see next on the screen is that it'll say, okay, the man expresses his opinion of group work, state and explain his opinion, compare his opinion with the opinion of the geology faculty. So now you will have like 30 seconds to go through your notes, and then you'll have 60 seconds to speak and record yourself. So if there's a couple brave people here who want to get some feedback on your speaking, so go ahead and use that SpeakPipe tool, that link that I gave you there, and send me with the comments below here a recording of you for like 60 seconds commenting using some of these template phrases that we looked at. I'll put them back up on the screen, so if you want to see those. So you can use some of these phrases and this template to express the opinion and the reasons for that opinion. So you can comment on here with an audio file. And I'll give you guys like a minute or two to see if somebody can send me an audio file. Okay. I see there's a comment from Alina. Где могу получить слайды с прошлых занятий? Спасибо. Can somebody help me translate that? I'm not quite sure. Where can I get the slides from the last lessons, please? I think I mentioned at the top of the screen, you can change the number where it says, like, for example, today it says webcast/5/show. You can change that number to like 4 and 3 and 2, and you can get the access to like the previous lessons. All right? So you can watch those kind of replays as well. Okay. Anybody brave who wants to get feedback on their audio? No? Going once? Going twice? If you also have a few questions further to like the speaking section, especially today about the this type of question, feel free to let me know about that as well. But okay, but basically I could say here that for this particular situation, the man's opinion is that group work is very frustrating because in his experience, another group member wasn't interested in his ideas, so he did the work by himself. And he denied the fact that he was kind of benefiting from other people's work, but he admits that he probably didn't deserve the grade that he received because he didn't do all the work that was part of that project, and very little of it was of his own. So he does agree that there should be a new policy for the way that the project is evaluated, and so however, like the man and the faculty don't necessarily agree on everything, but and in terms of the organization or the communication work, part of the group work, that may not be as useful, but the faculty still think that is information that should be assessed. So again, that's kind of taking some of the content that would be from this discussion and going on there. Okay, so but we will have a minute or two if anybody wants to get their feedback. Okay. I see Elena is motivated. She wants to get feedback on this, but I'll start recapping what we've looked at today, just as a summary. So we've gone through basically what is here. Sorry, that was me. Basically, we have the 45 seconds to go through a reading passage, 30 seconds is your prep time after you listen to the conversation, then 60 seconds is speaking, and you basically have to summarize what the announcement is, give the person's opinion about that, and the reasons that support that. So they are, again, looking at how your intonation patterns are, your pronunciation, the lapses and pauses and the pacing, whether your vocabulary is good and the variety, a wide range of vocabulary, whether what you're saying sounds kind of automatic, whether it's easy to follow what you're saying in terms of the topic development, and your ideas are connected and they are covering what was covered in the speaking and the reading sections. And then we looked at combining this information, clearly stating what the opinion is and rephrasing it, using a wide range of vocabulary, trying to avoid repeating yourself, keeping it kind of fluid and clear. You don't want to pause too much. Pay attention to your intonation patterns. Make sure it's organized and easy to follow. And we've looked at these template phrases that you can use to kind of keep it organized, and that you don't have to worry so much about these kind of grammatical structures. You can use those to your advantage. And then we went through using the SpeakPipe tool. Okay. So, unfortunately, I can't record audio on my laptop. Can the answer be less than 60 seconds? Yes, the answer could be like 50 seconds or so. You don't really want it to be like 40 seconds or 30 because it feels probably underdeveloped. And here, I'm going to turn off my screen so you can see me here as we finish today. So let me see. Can you see me again? You should be able to see me again. So hi, me again. So thank you very much for watching this lesson live and following through the slides and going through some of the templates and the phrases. And basically, yeah, if for the timing there, oh, great. Yes, there is an audio file here from Olia. So let me be able to listen back, give you some feedback here. Okay.
Well, this is clear to me that the man from the audio file is not satisfied with the group work that he was involved in. He didn't have a chance to express his mind, to express his opinion in the research work, and he is not okay with this, and he supposes that he could do more and he could get a better mark. And I think that his point of view is similar to the point of view of the geology group. And it is really hard to assess students fairly and to give the appropriate mark to everybody according to the work they have been done.
Okay, so good. Yeah, thank you very much for sending us that example there. Okay, there's another one coming up from Yana. So let me just give a brief feedback here for Olya. So there were a few little hesitations as you were trying to figure out some of these template phrases, these like, okay, the man was not okay. So another way you could say that is like he disagrees with it. He doesn't share the same opinion. So you might want to look at some of those little phrases that, and the nice thing about having this recording is you can kind of listen to yourself multiple times. And you can kind of pay attention to some of these little details. There were a few hesitations here and there. It was mostly related to looking like for the content. not so much of like the grammar itself. So the examiner is a little bit more tolerant when you have some of those pauses as you're kind of looking for what you're going to say next. You seem to like I didn't really recognize kind of grammatical problems on there, but it's just kind of building up your fluency so that you can speak kind of connected as much as possible in longer stretches of time on there. Okay. I'm going to listen again to these audio files, and I can give you some more feedback in writing below these comments. So, but let's give another opportunity to Yana, who has another audio file here. Okay.
Milan says about difficulties in group working on geology department. Firstly, because some students are weakness and other are strong. And who are weak students, they didn't work all volume of project, and it is bad organization and communication in the faculty as a wasting of time, because there is no and in new system it will be better. He believes in that.
Okay, yeah, thank you for this audio file as well. I think my first reaction would be for this answer, because of like the pauses and hesitations and some of maybe nervousness, this could get a little bit of a lower score on there in terms of like the content that's being provided. You probably took the notes and that was probably good, but you want to kind of practice recording and practice speaking this so it becomes more and more fluid. So that would be my recommendation for that. So if that's about for the answers here, or these example questions that I've seen, I'll give you more feedback on there in writing. But thank you everybody for joining today, and for Olya and Yana for providing 2 sample answers. So I think this is a great way to kind of interact with that. And so we'll be talking next week about the speaking task number 4, which will be the university kind of lecture and a reading passage, and comparing that. So, okay. I see that there's another audio file from Christina. We're running out of time today, but you can still provide another audio file there. I will take a look and give you some feedback there. And that's it for today. So thank you very much, all of you who joined. There's at least more than 40 people here live, so that's great. Really appreciate that you joining us, and thank you. I really appreciate you guys joining and giving feedback, and want to make sure that these lessons are as helpful as they can be for you, and that you can get really good grades, great scores on your speaking and on your TOEFL in general, so that you guys can get to the best choices at universities. So we'll be back next week, same time, and feel free to continue to leave some comments on here. And also check where it says the lessons. So if you want personalized private lessons and packages, go check that out. And there's also, you can ask me more specific private questions, not just in a public format. You can send me a private message there as well. So thank you once more, and we'll see you next week. Take care.